From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. New Democrats from coast to coast are gathering in Winnipeg today to kick off their party's annual convention and elect a new federal party leader by the end of the weekend. After a 6-month leadership race, voting closes on Saturday, and the new leader will be announced Sunday morning. The candidates include union leader Rob Ashton, social worker Tennille Johnston, filmmaker Avi Lewis, Alberta MP Heather McPherson, and farmer Tony McQuail. The new leader's main job will be to lead the process of rebuilding the NDP after the party suffered its worst ever election result last year. Canada has hit its defense spending commitment to NATO after lagging behind the pack for years. The numbers provided by the alliance have Ottawa spending the equivalent of 2% of GDP on national defense over the past year. But conservative defense critic James Bazan says the Liberal government used some creative accounting, like including the Coast Guard and veterans' pensions in the calculations, to fudge the numbers. Prime Minister Mark Carney is defending his government's commitment to rearming the military, saying defense spending is at its highest level since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Carney government's focus on leveraging private capital for foreign aid will have only a limited impact on the world's most vulnerable people. That is the message from Peter Sands, executive director of the world's major funding mechanism for tackling infectious diseases. As head of the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, Sands says Canada is making a political choice not to eradicate tuberculosis in places like Nunavut. The Carney government's focus on leveraging private capital for foreign aid will have only a limited impact on the world's most vulnerable people. That is the message from Peter Sands, executive director of the world's major funding mechanism for tackling infectious diseases. As head of the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, Sands says Canada is making a political choice not to eradicate tuberculosis in places like Nunavut.
It was the primary killer in many rich Western countries in the late 19th century, early 20th century. But we know how to cure it. It's curable. It's preventable. We can get rid of it. So that's why I say it's fundamentally a question of political will and real focus.
Sands says TB is still being circulated in Canada's far north for the same reasons that drive the disease's spread in the global south, such as poor living conditions and unreliable access to health services. And finally, Saudi Arabia says Iran launched 6 missiles toward Riyadh. The kingdom says 4 fell into the Persian Gulf or on uninhabited areas, while 2 others were intercepted. Iran has been lashing out at some of its neighbors for their connections to the U.S. military and their regional bases. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, we start in the NHL, where the Edmonton Oilers defeated the Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime. The Pittsburgh Penguins nabbed a 4-3 shootout win from the Ottawa Senators. The Montreal Canadiens edged the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-1. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Kings blanked the Vancouver Canucks 4-0. Nathan MacKinnon scored goals 47 and 48 on the season, propelling the Colorado Avalanche to a 3-2 victory over the Winnipeg Jets. And Mikael Granlund tallied a hat-trick, scoring his third on the power play, with just 1 second remaining in overtime, giving the Anaheim Ducks a 3-2 victory over the Calgary Flames. Now in the NBA, the Toronto Raptors had the night off after getting shellacked by the LA Clippers 119-94 on Wednesday. The Dinos, however, will be back in action tonight, taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Last night, the Detroit Pistons plucked the Pelicans 129-108. And of course, later tonight, the Toronto Blue Jays, looking for glory once again, open their 2026 campaign at home, playing host to Oakland. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.